2022 is going to be one of those big change years, and the world's going to change even faster. And we had George Gammon, he and Jeff Snyder were talking about what's happening. What Joel's saying is exactly, the Fed's trying to push up the front end of the interest rates, but the euro-dollar system is collapsing because the economy in Europe is collapsing right now. Mm-hmm. And that's going to hit America really hard. So what George Gammon and Jeff Snyder are saying, something big is going to happen in 2022. The rich are okay, but they're crushing the middle class. Yep. Which used to be called kind of the bourgeoisie, but they're now going down to proletariat, according to Marx.
Yeah, the billionaires don't want the middle class because all they want are workers of slave land here. They brag that they're paying $15 an hour. Who can live on $15 an hour? Oh, what was the inflation rate? Only, 6.8%? How much did wages go up? Oh, I think about 4.6%. Oh, yeah, the real inflation numbers, according to John Williams Shadow Stats, who I deeply respect, because they rigged the inflation numbers for two reasons. Number one, so they wouldn't have to raise interest rates so the bigs could get all that cheap money. And number two, so you wouldn't have to pay more in Social Security because it was attached to interest rates. The real interest rate is about 15%. So now the bigs, they want cheap labor. They don't want a middle class. Again, when we were young guys, they may censor you for this. There were things called drugstores, stationery stores, grocery stores, hardware stores, and now they're all chains. There are no private stationery stores. No, we got Staples, we got Office Depot, we got Lowe's, we got Home Depot. We don't need the local hardware stores. No, we don't need grocery stores. We got Hannaford's, we got Kroger, and we want cheap help. And this is the difference, too. When they had all those local stores, the people that worked in them saw a future. They'd say, maybe I'll do this when I get older. Or else they moved up the chain because the people they were working with appreciated it. Gone. Now you go to Starbucks, boop, you're stuck in Starbucks, or when you got there, where you are, and you could be there for years. Because I've been at this is my 42nd year.
Jeez.
I have never been so concerned about the future as I am now. Because here is the bottom line. When all else fails, they take you to war. And again, when I say I'm concerned about when all else fails, they take you to war, go back to the dot-com bust. The NASDAQ was down 66% before 9/11. 66% before 9/11. 9/11 happens. A month later, Afghan war, 88% of the people went for it. Phony boom. But this time, they asked Einstein, what kind of weapons will be used to fight the Third World War? He said, I don't know. He said, but they'll be using sticks and stones to fight the fourth. And that's my greatest concern. And this is one to look at. What's going on in Turkey. The inflation rate in Turkey, the actual inflation rate is over 40%. The Turkish lira has declined over 45% this year alone against the dollar. You look what happens with Erdogan, the guy in control that doesn't want to let go of it. Will there be a war against the Kurds? Will he be going into Syria? What's going to happen in the Middle East? These are the kind of things we're telling the people to look at because you're not finding that information anywhere. Oh, then there's a place called Ethiopia. Oh, it's only the second largest country in Africa with a civil war going on. Oh, yeah, right at the Horn of Africa near Europe over there, migrant crisis. You're talking about what's going on in the United States. Oh, inflation skyrocketing. You're going to see a migrant wave we've never seen before. You're going to see political unrest we haven't seen before. So these are the times to really know what's going on and get serious about it.
The most important, this 2022 is a pivot year.
It is a pivot year.
And if people are hoping that it'll be more like yesterday, I think we're in serious trouble.
No, it's only going to go down worse. You look at all these mandates that are happening around the world because of the Omicron virus that has killed one person allegedly out of only 8 billion. And it's been going on since November 26th. So again, the fear that they're spreading, business travel, international travel between New York and overseas was down only 77% from the end of November to the middle of December, down 77%. And now all the lockdowns, if you're not vaccinated, you have no freedom in Austria and Italy, now in Germany coming up, Czech Republic, one place after another. How could the markets keep going up? So for 2022, again, I do not give financial advice, and I have to make that very clear, or else they come after me.
Right.
Is GSB, gold, silver, and Bitcoin, and they're going to go down when interest rates go up, but the economy is going to go down too. So they're going to go down temporarily, and then they're going to escalate very rapidly as people realize how bad it is. And the only thing that's keeping people from seeing, again, we talked about inflation rate, how many people are the median household income had its biggest decline ever in 2020. What's the facade that's making it look like everything is okay are the equity markets. When the equity markets crash, reality will hit Main Street.
If you are concerned, which everybody should be, now financial education is more important than ever. And so people like Gerald and you and, all of George Gammon, all of the guys that, we've surrounded ourselves with this year, they're all saying the same thing.
Records are saying the same thing. We're going down.
Yeah.
We're going down.
Yeah. And so I like, you always say gold, silver, Bitcoin. Gerald says gold, silver, Bitcoin. So the people out there, if you're gold, silver, Bitcoin is shining bright for you right now. Like everybody's saying it because the dollar is going to shit.
Well, it's more than the dollar. It's that the taxes and inflation are ripping people off. Mm-hmm. When I see the working guys around my house, I feel for them because the Fed, the Treasury, they're just ripping those guys off. Inflation is a tax. So are taxes. And so Biden promised, and I'm not Republican or Democrat, but he promises he's not going to raise taxes. Don't worry, he's going to print $10 trillion, won't cost us anything. Do you know how stupid you have to be to believe that? But people do. Do you know? Yeah.
And we had a session last Thursday, and Tom Wheelwright was on, and we were talking about this tax. Somebody has to pay this tax bill, and it's going to crush the middle class.
Yes.
It's not going, everybody, tax the rich, or, it's not going to touch the rich.
No.
The people who are going to pay for it are the people who are working every day for their paycheck. I mean, so this is, it's an alarming warning, and I just hope that our listeners take heed.
And meanwhile, the rich get richer because my friend Greg Jaggers was here from Wyoming. And he's raising Wagyu cattle. It's $30 a pound. And the rich can afford it.
Yeah.
And the poor can't even go, they can't afford hamburger anymore.
Right.
And that's what's happening to America and the world, really. What he's talking about Turkey, Afghanistan.
Yeah.
I just can't believe it, that people will actually believe the news. I mean, how can Biden stand up there and say, I'm going to print $10 trillion, but it won't cost us a thing? I'm going, what planet does that boy live on? Again, I'm not Republican or Democrat, but how in the world can people believe that BS?
I have one more point that I learned this week, and that was actually from Ken
McElroy.
Ken McElroy, yep. His inflation came out at 6.8%. You can get an interest rate of 3.1.
Yeah.
They're giving free money away.
Yeah.
So if you are in a position to borrow and to, start investing that's free money.
Yeah.
So
but also it's tax-free money.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Let's say you borrow $1 million. You pay no tax on it. But if you were to save $1 million, it would cost you $1.4 million. 40% tax.
Right.
And that's why there's no financial education in our schools, because most of our school teachers are Marxists. They're not bad people. They just don't know anything about capitalism. That's the problem. And they're teaching it to our kids.
Well, and if we were educated in that realm, the government wouldn't get away with doing this.
That's right.
That's right. But because we don't teach it, there's very few people talking about it. Their plan's working out. Their plan is unfolding.
Correct.